back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm doing a Halloween tutorial, if you haven't guessed already, and I'm going to do a voiceover for this tutorial today because there's a lot of elements to it and I wanted to make it as easy as possible. So let me know if you like it down in the comments below and give it a big thumbs up and subscribe, and if you want to see this Halloween tutorial then keep watching. For primer today I'm using my Benefit PoreFessional and I'm just applying this with my fingers to anywhere where I've got most pores, so around my chin, my cheeks and my forehead area. For foundation I use the Makeup Forever HD Foundation in the shade N120, and then I use the Skin Base in the shade number 1. I wanted the skin to be really pale but not white, which is why I chose these two foundations. They weren't the perfect mix, to be honest. It did separate a little bit. Maybe it was because it was two different formulas of the foundation, but I worked with it anyway and I just applied this all over my face and blended this down my neck as well. To set all that in place I use my holy grail of setting powders, and that's the Mercier Loose Translucent Powder, and I'm just using the same damp beauty blender to apply it. I did quickly have to re-go over my brows again because I applied so much foundation, so I'm just filling them in again quickly. Starting with the eyes, I'm going in with the Zoeva Cocoa Blend palette and I'm using the shade Substitute for Love, and this is going to act as our base shade and our transition shade, and to get a really smoky finish in the end. And I'm using the Morphe M441 brush to concentrate this on and above the socket bone, and I'm blending it right out to the outer corner of my brow and also building it up in the very inner corners as well, because we want that area to look really hollow. And don't worry at all at this stage trying to be neat. You can be as messy as you want really, because we can play around with the shape and blending and things as we go along. And I'm taking this as well all the way underneath the eyes, and I'm blending this out quite far as well because we want this to be really blown out. And I'm also starting to shade in this inner part of my brow, working my way up because this is where our frown lines are going to be. Moving on to the Anastasia Beverly Hills Contour Kit, I'm taking a mix of the two lightest shades on the same brush and I'm just working this all over the areas we applied that first shadow, blending it out a little bit more, and this is going to start deepening the colour so we can now transition onto the next one. Now I'm moving on to the Steal in the Light palette and I'm taking the colour Sandstone, which is a really cool tone dark brown, and I'm using this to really deepen around the socket. And I'm packing this colour on and using it in the same areas, following the same shape, but I'm not blending it out as far as the very first two shades that we used. This way we get a nice transition. And of course you don't have to use this many shades either. I just find using a more variety of shades, it gives a lot more of a smoky and grungy effect at the end, which is what we're looking for today with our spooky skull. Moving on to our final shadow, and I'm using this matte black from the Kylie Bronze palette. You don't have to have all these palettes guys, I just didn't have all the shades that I wanted in one, so if you've got similar shades to these you can absolutely use them. And I'm packing this all over the lid and the under eyes and blending it out into the other shades. On the under eyes don't be afraid to blend it quite far down because that gives a really nice effect. And it looks hard when you look at it, but the key to the eyes really is blending. So I like to apply bits at a time and then work on blending it out. That way you can get the eyes really pigmented, but then at the same time having no harsh lines. And you can even go into the brown shades that we used earlier, and these will also help you blend this out. We don't want any skin showing around our eyeballs, so I used the Rodial Black Smokey Eye Pen to line the top and lower waterline. This is the first day of me using this today and I really liked it, super jet black. Moving on to the Rimmel eyeliner pen, and this is an optional step, but I wanted to line the top lash line to hide the false lashes band, and I decided to wing it out in the end because I couldn't resist but to add a little bit of glam. And make sure you've got some wipes at hand guys, because I did get pretty messy. Next I decided to do the nose, and I chose the Zoeva Cat Eye Pen for this, mainly because I knew not a lot of product comes out, so I could gently trace the shape that I wanted, and then once I was happy with it I filled it in with the same pen. Once I was happy, I then set that in place with the same black eyeshadow that we used on the eyes. Now moving on to the cheeks, and I'm taking the same two shades from the Anastasia Beverly Hills contour kit, and I'm using this on a pencil brush from Morphe, and this was the M431 brush. And I'm working from my ear below my cheekbone, straight down and then curving down towards my jawbone. I'm using a really light hand for this because I realised that I did have to work on that curve a little bit and change it. I built it up and brought it a little bit more forward, so if you're not comfortable with applying product straight away, you could use a white eyeliner pencil or something really sheer to help you trace that out first. Once I was happy with the shape, I built it up and made it a little darker, and then I started to blend it out. And when you blend this out, you don't want to blend past that line, you want that to stay really sharp. The main blending that you need is in the curved area because that's where you want it to look most hollow. And then to make this area of our skull look really defined, I then traced over that line with the black eyeshadow that we've been using, and I blended this down only a little bit, not too far, only just to soften the edges. Now moving on to the mouth, and I wanted to keep this really simple, so I used the Scandaleyes pen from Rimmel, the precise one, and I'm just extending the corners of the mouth out each side. And then when I do my teeth, I like to do one in the centre, and then I take it in turns to do one each side. I'm not sure why, I think this just helps me to get them as even as possible. And as I apply the product, I'm using a firmer hand at the very base of the teeth, and then a lighter hand as I work my way out, so there's a thick to thin line. And I definitely recommend try one of these eyeliner pens to do this. I found this really helpful, and it was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be as well using this. We're finally on the home stretch now, guys, so I'm adding some shading with the two contour colours around the temples. Then I'm switching to the dark brown shade out of the Steeler palette to deepen this a little bit more, and then I'm also using this to shade around the mouth area as well. And then for our final touches, I thought the eyes could be a little bit darker, so I applied some more of the black shadow mainly to the underneath of the eyes, and that completes this look. So that completes today's tutorial, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you do down in the comments below, and don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.